Constant Context episode number, I don't even know. I'm going to say 13. It's April 4th, and for the first time in a long time, there's no fucking wind. And even though it snowed today, it was at least warm. I watched the Anchorman 2 commentary, and they're like, how did that guy ever get through casting?
Darting in between cars.
But months later, right?
There's always one,
yeah.
There's always one guy in every movie that you're like, why did we cast him? Yeah, Dylan Baker. Right. Because you look at him, you look at like his breadth of, his work, and over the years, great character actor, and for some reason, not a joy. Extremely vain. After this take, first thing he says, "Where's my laugh?" It was great, but where's my laugh?
He'll always yawn off camera if you're doing a scene with him.
Yeah,
The second you start speaking, he starts yawning.
He refused to act with me in his tight close-ups. He'd rather deliver his lines to a tennis ball on a stick. Which, by the way, I had a tennis ball.
Because he's a total fucking asshole, essentially. They didn't say fucking asshole, but they may as well have. And so, and it was funny. The whole thing was funny. And then I found, because I opened up my MacBook and I was watching, Michael Lewis on The Daily Show extended interview. He's talking about his new book. And Michael Lewis, he did The Big Short.
The Big Short.
Here is some information about The Big Short.
A bunch of other things about Wall Street and stuff.
Weird day.
All right, we're done.
Break up with lingering food.
This is such an us fight. It's such an us kind of fight.
All right, here's the part that I don't understand. So these traders, this Canadian fella and other guys that come to this conclusion at the same time, they find each other and they form this group that decides to not be socialists or communists or redistribute wealth or cause a revolution, but to try a cleaner version of capitalism that is a fairer version. Why is it that the 24-hour financial news networks cannot have that same tenacity of spirit and integrity of purpose?
Why would that be? I mean, can we speculate?
Speculate.
All right, so who's paying for the ads who are their guests?
No room for the muckraking.
No, not really.
What the fuck does muckraking mean? Muckraking. You're not going to talk to me? Fine. The term muckraker refers to reform-minded journalists who wrote largely for all popular magazines and continued a tradition of investigative journalism. Muckraking. Raker. Muckraker means investigative journalism. Okay.
Room for the muckraking.
No, not really. And it's the problem is, I think the bigger problem is Wall Street needs to shrink a lot. The technology has sort of eliminated the need for a lot of what Wall Street does. You don't need human beings to bring buyers and sellers together stock. Everybody can push the button and we all go in the same black box and trade. We can push the button and we all go in the same black box and trade. Right. We should all be in the same place. We shouldn't be at 13 different public exchanges and 40 different dark pools and all the rest. So that's a role that Wall Street used to make a lot of money playing. Now they don't play it. So they've created this artificial role for themselves to generate the funds. But it's painful for an industry to shrink. And it's especially difficult to do it when the government's been propping it up for the last 5 years, right? So I don't know, the feeling on Wall Street, I think, is a feeling, there's a fear of stuff being taken away. The financial news television shows that are around Wall Street are one way or another kind of owned by Wall Street. I mean, there's a limit to how radical you can be. But I mean, the crazy thing, your point is well taken. This is an Occupy Wall Street. It is a market. It's an active entrepreneurship. It's like sort of thing that happens in Silicon Valley every day.
Right.
Something new comes in that's better, it's fair, it's more honest, people want it, and the old business goes and dies.
And ultimately, the value of it is ruined by the dissipation of the integrity of it. If you reinstate the integrity of it, so investors do feel that they are not entering a casino, that somebody has taken half the profits out the door. I saw one guy on CNBC who was talking about, so these guys come in, these high-frequency traders, they clip a penny here, a penny there off of the trades on each end of the trade. Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, no, that's not. This is a. This,
What?
So let's say the skim or the scalp is $10 or $20 billion, whatever it is. There's that.
Right.
The trust is a much bigger issue.
Right.
This instability that's in the system, where you get flash crashes and all this, because the technology is rigged. It's designed not for stability, but to enable high-frequency traders to make money.
Right.
But the price of the mistrust is huge, because it basically means the companies that actually need capital pay much more for it because investors are wary. So the price of that is very hard to measure, and you would think that someone would twig to that.
Is the complexity of the system what keeps it able to metastasize the way that it has?
Yes.
In other words, it took these really bright guys a really long time to deconstruct the system, and the way that they do it is fascinating in and of itself. The guy that comes in and designs it through pictures so that you can see, it visualizes where the trades are going, what's happening. It's incredible.
So this is a reprisal of the financial crisis, right? So the subprime mortgage market.
Right.
What happened there was a lot of bad loans got made because they got disguised with really complicated Wall Street creations called collateralized debt obligations.
Right.
So this is part two. It's a market that got made. It's seemingly transparent. You can go find out everything sort of if you dig a lot and you're a detective and have teams of people to do it, but it's actually opaque because it's so complicated. So the complexity is a tool. It's essentially a tool for creating a situation where someone on Wall Street knows something you don't, so they can take advantage of you. And it is, I think, the response of a sick system. Not sick, cool. Sick.
That's someone with kids.
No.
I'm gonna tell you, this system is fat, yo.
Yeah.
I mean, fat. Seriously, it's morbidly obese. But what's incredible to me is that the lack of agility in the regulators is again one of the biggest issues of this. There is common sense. I do believe there are really good actors on Wall Street that will, even now Goldman is switching and flipping to this IEX.
Right.
There are good actors that would work with who, along with the derivatives trading, they were not brand new, but you found a way to focus on it in a very accessible manner, in a very compelling manner, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Flash Boys.
So this one's about high-frequency trading. And I remember I heard of high-frequency trading when I was doing my McLuhan collage for CBC. That
one of the little ploys I suggest might occur in the future is you could have two channels. Left hemisphere of the brain gives you all that is rational, analytic, and connected, sequential, whereas the right hemisphere gives you all the mystical, the occult, the intuitive, and so on. And so you could switch, you could have your choice of programs.
I'm the only person in the world today who studies the effects of media.
If the audience can become involved in the actual process of making
Misunderstanding media. Reversing their view.
mirror
McLuhan.
At 100.
We can't wait for the present to pass by before we want to revive it. I would much rather be an idiot.
our research made an error.
The to select is to distinguish.
The advertising business pays you a great deal.
Our marketing, for example, is way ahead of our production process.
I would much rather be an idiot for the hell of it.
Way ahead of
To select is to distort.
So we don't communicate too well in the community. Good afternoon, or good morning.
No, this is really where I'm trying to get to all night. And it is daytime.
Again. Linear thinking again.
It's
We were using the wrong hemisphere.
classification problem.
Which they are merely classified entities, as in the schoolroom. They don't feel wanted, they don't feel needed, they just drop out. These people are part of the show.
Consequences after impact.
The hippie crowd, the young generation is all third world thinking. They don't belong in the first world anymore.
That's because they're
Way
thinking
ahead
with their
their right hemisphere, you know.
See how I'm living?
Yeah.
I am determined to understand what's happening. Because I don't choose to sit like the juggernaut or order. The world is now like a continually sounding tribal drum.
This is as big a revolution as any backward country has to face.
I think we're very lucky to be a backward country.
This all at once just wipes out distances and time.
And frustrate them as much as you can.
Where everybody gets the message all the time. A princess gets married in England, and boom, boom, boom go the drums. We all hear about it. An earthquake in North Africa. A Hollywood star gets drunk.
To become a hang on.
Oh, I do. I have a first edition.
For 25 years' time.
Absolutely. They still think of books as bound paper objects.
You will go to the telephone, describe your interests, your needs, your problems.
And so on. The book is taking on a totally new meaning. In the age of Xerox, the book is no longer a package. It's information service. We can't wait for the present to pass by before we want to revive it.
It's back a bit.
Play it again.
So this one's about high-frequency trading. And I remember I heard of high-frequency trading when I was doing my McLuhan. They didn't even want to allow me to compete, even though I knew I had no chance of winning because it was clever and wasn't kindergarten-level PowerPoint with quotes like the global village and then making allusions to the internet. Anyways, I get the audiobook from Audible, and it's read.
Why did we cast him? Yeah, Dylan Baker. Right.
By the guy that the guys in Anchorman said was a fucking asshole. So that's funny. That's interesting. But at the same time, I'm also reading a book, A Short Path Through Time or something like that, about quantum computing. And as I'm listening to this Flash Boys book, where every single insignificant physical proximity saves people milliseconds, and which could result in millions of dollars, billions of dollars in milliseconds. And I'm reading about quantum computing, which would be like what fire is to nuclear energy. What we now know right now, the technology that we have, even fiber, even high frequency, that's fire. Quantum computing is nuclear energy. And what I'm thinking is essentially teleportation will probably be possible once we have the equivalence quantum computing that we right now have with silicon and microprocessors will probably be possible once we have the equivalence quantum computing that we right now have with silicon and microprocessors. I don't know when that'll happen, but holy shit, society itself will, like every single vision of the future that we ever have been witness to, will seem completely benign, because time itself will become, you know, if you even know rudimentary quantum anything, you know that essentially things exist in two different states at the same time. So please enjoy this collage I made about Marshall McLuhan about 10 years ago, or when Occupy Wall Street was happening. I mean 3 years, to 2011 fall. And in there's going to be a mention of high frequency trading.
Their right hemisphere, you know.
See how I'm... So hopefully this recorded...